Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the Bridge Call. And today is December 14th, 2022. We still
Welcome, everyone.
We still have a couple more weeks to talk about 2022 before we go into the new year.
That's for sure.
So welcome, Danny. How are you tonight?
I'm good.
Excellent.
Very good. Another interesting subject on the Bridge Call. We're going to change it up a little bit from this moment on. At the end of near the end of the talk tonight, where I'm going to do a reading for someone, and I'm also going to do past life. I'm going to tap into someone's past lives. So one or two of you, a couple of you will have this. I'll do this near the end of the show. We can discuss it. So we're going to do that from every show now.
Nice.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yes, so there'll be a couple of people. I don't know how we're going to pick them, or you want to put your hand up if you're one that wants to get that done. So tonight, what are we talking about tonight, Danny?
The afterlife.
Okay. And what's so special about the afterlife?
Well, we all believe, well, not all of us, but even all religions believe that there is something after this, that everyone has a soul, right? Doesn't matter if you're Islamic or you're Christian or even Jewish. They all have this belief that our life does not end when we die, that we have some kind of a soul or a God essence inside of us that leaves the body and goes to, many call it heaven. It could be nirvana. It could be another state of consciousness, whatever, that is absolutely beautiful and peaceful and loving. And so we can go down that tonight about NDEs, which are near-death experiences, where there's thousands and thousands of people have had these experiences, a glimpse of the other side. They have actually died on an operating table or an accident, and were above their bodies and experienced some amazing stuff. So we're going to talk about that tonight. And at any time, Lucie, just intervene if you have a thought, you have something to add to it. I mean, this is a field where it only goes from experience. There is no textbook. There is no hardcore information about the other side unless we pass. But for us mediums who can contact the other side and speak to those that have passed, we get a glimpse of what it looks like, what it feels like, but we really know not a lot about it. So none of us, I can say, are experts in this field. None of us. We really don't know.
I don't know how to stop this. Are we under attack?
I think Danny should log out and log back in. Log out and log back in, Lucie.
Unmute, Danny.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to try logging out and logging back in?
Back in. So are we going to have to go back to your email?
Okay, carry on.
We're recording now? Okay, well, just so we grasp it, because this is something that we can't see, touch, or feel, basically, I don't think there's anybody on the planet that's an expert on the afterlife. We just have glimpses of it. As I was mentioning earlier, those of us that are mediums who can contact the other side and speak to those that have passed have a somewhat idea of what's like over there. So I'm not pretending to be an expert in this field at all. I just know what I know and a lot of research. So the whole idea is all the religions believe we have a soul and that this soul is going to leave us when we pass away. The whole question is, what's it like on the other side? What does the soul experience? Many of those that can tap into this energies talk about a life review. Okay, many of you may have heard of this, where you may meet an angel, you might meet Jesus, you might meet some other being that's goes through with you. What did you achieve in this lifetime? What did you experience? I don't think that's very common. I've studied this near-death experience. There's dozens of videos on it where almost none of them have that experience of a life review. What some of them do meet when they die on the operating table or die in a car accident, and they can feel their soul pull away from their body. A good friend of mine had this happen in a hospital, and he says, I'm floating on the ceiling. I'm watching everybody. I see my body down there. I think he died for like 3 or 4 minutes. And he could hear everything that was going on. And this is very common for near-death experiences. They see the nurses, they see the family that might be around you in that hospital room. And he met a being which he feels was his uncle. He was very close to his uncle. His uncle had passed. And the conversation went that it's not your time yet. And this is very common in near-death experience, whether it's an angel or a being or a knowing that I'm not ready to go yet, that I have to go back, and their body is suddenly has life again, whether by spirit or by mechanical means, and the soul penetrates back into the body and life continues. And for all of these people, when you really study this subject, they are never the same afterwards. All of them talk about the energy is so warm and loving and peaceful. The energy is incredible over there. And many of them do not want to come back. And do you blame them? Now, some of them might be a young parent. They might have a 10-year-old child or two. And it would be best to come on back, right? Now, if you're 85 years old, maybe you said, well, I've had a full life, maybe I'll continue, right? But those that come back, which is many, talk about that wonderful euphoria, this connection to source, knowing that they're part of the greater all that is, which must be an incredible feeling, incredible feeling. And some of them speak to angels or their past ones. It could be their past parent or family member, and have a slight conversation. And then when they come back, they're not the same. They're definitely more spiritual believing, more grounded. And many of them say that they have a much more peaceful life knowing this, right? So there's so much that goes on when we leave this body. We'd like to believe that it's absolutely wonderful. We go back to God because we are part of God. We are created by that source or higher power, whatever name you want to give it, the universe. And that it's a wonderful place, as you call it in Christian, is heaven. I don't know what the other religions call it. Maybe it's nirvana, maybe it's a different name, but it's basically the same, where the soul goes after it's finished its work here on this body. So we can go down this. So we're going to talk also about the people who are just about to pass. Okay. There's a lot of information on that. There's been many huge studies. I sent you one, Lucie.
Wow.
And okay, And so, and the studies are with the nurses that are in palliative care. And what they see when someone, just before they pass, maybe 4, 5, 6 days before, and this is a huge study. There's many studies that have been on this process. What happens to someone before they pass away? So many of these nurses working in these wards say the room that someone is about to die, and it's very soon, it might only be 3 or 4 days, that the room is much brighter. And they say it has nothing to do with the lighting, that the room is much brighter. And these are hundreds of nurses are reporting the same story. And about 2 to 3 days before they pass, the person who's ill will say, well, my brother was just here and I had a great conversation with him. And they know that the brother's been passed a long time. It could be a parent, someone that they know and love, visits them before they pass. And what they do is they like hold their hand and say, it's going to be fine. There's no need to fear death. I'm going to be with you. So what it is are these family members come to us to bring us peace and a knowing that it's going to be fine. And sometimes they say they actually show them where they're going to go. So it'd be very comforting to have someone come to you just before you pass. I think it's a beautiful experience. And this has been documented hundreds and hundreds of times, that my uncle was here and my father was here. You know, they were just here and they have a conversation with, they see them with their eyes. And then within 2 or 3 days, they pass. So it's comforting to know where we're going in the afterlife, that we're going to be comforted in that way, that someone's going to come to us. It may even be an angel. It's usually what the studies show. It's usually a family member that they love who's been passed for a while, to comfort them in the move, in the shift to that new place of existence. I think that's beautiful. And so until I studied this as a psychic and a medium, I didn't know this existed. I didn't know that was there. So it's very comforting that we are protected and cared for and loved and helped to cross over to the other side, right? I think this would be a good time for someone who's got a question that while we're on this exact subject.
Okay.
If anyone has something to talk about on this.
Anybody have any questions? I can also concur to what you're saying, because I had an uncle in palliative care that I was hanging out with, and it was just him and I. And the family kept saying, make sure he wears his mask, his oxygen mask.
Right.
And as soon as they left the room, he knocked it off. I thought,
okay.
like he's gonna die anyways, right? But what happened at the end of his bed was my father, my grandparents, and my great uncle that have already passed showed up at the end of the bed. And he started talking to them. Hang on, I'm coming. You know, like it's just like having a full-on conversation. And I like looked up and I could see the silhouettes of all of them and I knew who was where.
Wow.
And I just jumped back in my chair. And I was like, wow, they're all waiting.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And
This
the
has been
connection
documented
made.
thousands of times.
It's a
Tens of
beautiful thing.
thousands.
I have a story. I'm a caregiver, so I had a client who was almost dying, and one of his daughters hadn't visited him, and she was in Florida or somewhere, and he kept hanging on, and finally the other sibling convinced her to come, and the day she landed and came to the hospital, he looked at her and then he gave up his life. he was waiting for her.
That's what they do.
Yes, absolutely. And that happens a lot also.
Very much so. I have now two friends exactly when they were in the room with the person who's about to pass, they gave them permission to go.
Right.
They hang on for us many a times. And the family has to give them permission to go. And in many cases that I know personally, it's within hours they're gone. Because
Right.
then they can feel relief. Okay, I'm okay. They're okay with me leaving. They gave me permission. And in one instance that I know, it was within the hour they passed. And we have to give them permission, you know, because why hang on?
Yes,
Why hang on?
okay. That happened to a 46-year-old lady with cancer. She was in Denver, and I was caring for her for 3-4 months, and I came back, and she was deteriorating inside, but like outside you couldn't see at all. When she would dress up, she would be beautiful, and you wouldn't know how weak she is or how much she's trying for the family. She had 2 kids, not married yet, but grown up. And I finally wrote to another friend. I said, you know, her husband needs to give her permission to leave, because basically she's hanging on till he lets her go.
It's
He
very
could not know if the message came to him. She did pass away finally.
They do. They want to hang on for us.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like you said, Lucie, the family that is there in front of them that is passed is only there to comfort them and assist them in their passing. So we're not alone when we pass. We're definitely not alone. And so do we need to fear it? No,
Never.
not really. It's inevitable, especially if your body is basically dead. And so, you know, we have so much beauty to expect on the other side, so much peace and connection, seeing our own family. They're all going to be there for us, the family that has passed, to welcome us to our new existence. So really, there is nothing to fear in the afterlife. Nothing to fear at all. In fact, it's quite beautiful. I mean, when our time is right, correct? We never know when our time is right.
My friend Steve, and I wish I had gotten him on the call tonight, but he is in dialysis actually, but he has died twice and come back.
Wow.
And the first time, as he said, the afterlife is, you know, I don't think he saw people that had passed, but he said that the environment and the whole experience was absolutely indescribable. And he cries every time he thinks about it, when he talked about it.
I can
And
imagine.
he said that he did not want to come back. Like they said, you know, when he went to talk to God, and they said, you know, it's not your time. And he said he was fighting because he did not want to come back to earth. And he said, no, I really want to stay. And when he did come back, he really suffered. You know, that was one of the things that we worked on in Avatar, is that he felt very guilty that he wanted to leave his family on earth to stay where he was. And it really plagued him for a long time. And you know, maybe when we do this another time, we could get him on, but on Wednesday nights he has dialysis. So he is suffering from kidney failure now, but he had this liver transplant 20 years ago, and that's when he had that experience twice.
Right.
And yeah, but he said that he says he has no fear of death whatsoever. He said it's so beautiful, it's so indescribable that yeah.
And that's what comes out in all of these examples of near-death experiences. It's a beautiful experience, and many, like you say, do not want to come back, especially if you have a very sick body. I mean, why would you want to come back to that? right? But if you're relatively young and relatively healthy, you can still have a beautiful life. And so many of them, before death, actually improve their health in some ways. There's many cases where someone has full-blown Alzheimer's, cannot have a functional speech, no memory, and a couple of days before death, they're fully fluent, they're alert. It's as if they don't have Alzheimer's. So there's many cases of that before they pass. So that's a very interesting
Or
concept, that they actually get better in some ways, in the mind anyway, just before they pass.
I hear cases as
Or-
well of physically they're having more strength. They seem to be a little bit better, like something enlivens them.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it points to that. The way we understand what we are is probably very different. I have a question, if anybody
Yeah.
can answer.
Okay.
If we have different parts to our spirit soul, like we have a human entity and we have a universal soul, and who knows if there's levels to that. What is it that is experiencing when you're saying they're crossing over and it's so beautiful and the family is there helping them? Which part is it?
Well, Lucy and I have had this discussion. It's a great, I'm only going from my own experience. From time to time, I meet someone and I get a beautiful moment of clarity. Twice it's happened that according to spirit and what I've got, there are 9 levels of the soul. We have a higher level soul, we have an oversoul, which I believe is the top. And so the soul that leaves this body, apparently, I feel, it's my opinion, is the lowest level of the soul. Because this is the densest place you could ever go is 3D. It doesn't get any worse than this. Or should I say lower? I shouldn't say worse. Right? And so as I understand it, this soul that this body has, when we pass to whatever plane that might be, I don't know if it's called an astral plane, a causal plane, whatever that place is the lowest form of our soul, which has our humanness and even has our ego. So as a medium, I can speak to spirit that is past. I mean, souls that are past. And believe it or not, they still have ego. Which is hard for me to, at first it was hard for me to grasp. Okay, if you're a beautiful soul and you're divine and you're close to God, how could you have ego and have your same personality flaws that you had here in a physical form that you take into the afterlife? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've had with one person a very interesting incident with her spirit guides. And her spirit guides would fight and quarrel to see who could talk to her first. And I'm thinking, wow, this is a soul? I thought a soul was a very high vibrational above this, but they still have ego. So in my own experience, that level that resides in this body is the lowest level of the soul, and it still has ego. And many mediums will talk about this, that because I know many mediums, and they'll say exactly the same story. Those people that pass, if it was your grandfather and he was a grumpy old guy, he's going to be a grumpy old soul as a spirit guide, or if he becomes a spirit guide. Same personality goes with you. But then, and my way of thinking, well, that's the lowest level of the soul. And as you climb the ladder of your soul, I feel ego disappears. You become angelic-like. You become closest to God when you're at your highest level and your oversoul. I don't know if that helps you, Daniela, in understanding it maybe a little differently.
In the Jewish tradition, it's talked about 5 levels to the neshama, and the highest one is yichida. It's like one, completely one with God. with the infinite.
Good.
And it's also something called nefesh, and I'm always wondering if it's similar to, or if it's what Franco talked about as the human entity, because that's the one that stays here. And it's, some people translate it as spirit. I know some people call spirit something much higher. It's kind of confusing, all the terms, but there
Yeah.
seems to be
Yeah.
different levels that we hear from different traditions. And also people who cross over, sometimes I've heard that it's like an energetic imprint that we're tapping into, but their soul really has moved on to other levels, to other realms. And we're tapping into
Exactly.
still that, what, like, that was like maybe the hologram that was here.
Mhm.
It's kind of nice to tap into them. We can hang out with them, but it's, the soul is somewhere else.
Yeah, that would be what Frank was referring to as the human entity.
Yeah, which is that low level soul that I talk about, that I feel is right.
Mhm.
And so it carries the human characteristics with it.
Mhm.
As far as I understand, with all the mediumship that I've done, it's like talking to them as if they're alive. They have the same personality and they definitely have ego.
So I read a book years ago, I think it was called Hierarchy of the Soul, different levels of souls. And
Okay.
they do go through schools. Okay, so there's grade schools, college, university, and then they go for their masters and all this stuff. And as I was reading that, and you are in pods, so you have, your
Wow.
friends, and then you graduate and you move on to your other friends and you graduate.
Okay.
And the higher you go up, the less frequent you come down to earth.
I would agree.
And you also become a teacher as you graduate into the higher levels. You start mastering stuff and you become a teacher. And then as I read this, I was like, wow. So according to this book, this hierarchy soul, that would make Franco a master. And then I asked him, I said, okay, according to this book, you are a master. He goes, well, I'm a master of masters.
Wow.
And I went, oh boy, I don't know how you do it. So it's very
Wow.
rare.
It
And
is rare.
for someone that high up in the soul hierarchy to come to bring, his message, which was oneness. And similar to Jesus bringing his message of peace.
Right.
So yeah, so there are many, many levels, and you have to be schooled just like you would be schooled here in order to get your
Yeah,
degree
you
or your
have to
master.
evolve,
Yeah.
right? You have to earn your stripes,
So I
basically.
also hear too in religions that, it's all about the afterlife. It's all about the afterlife. But I was listening to minister, priest, or whatever. He goes, yes, they do preach that a lot about getting ready for the afterlife. He goes, but it's also about creating a beautiful life here. While you're here, is creating a beautiful life here. So don't miss out and don't have it
Oh,
all be
right.
about the afterlife. And another thing I want to mention, that kids who are pretty in tuned can know when somebody has passed on, because that person will come back and say hello, and then say it's their grandfather or something, and then the child can say, oh, your dad is here, to his mom, like, mom, your dad's here. And she goes, what do you mean? He's like, well, he's right here. And then she finds out like an hour later her father passed. So that
Right.
happens a lot too with kids.
Yeah, and there's many of them I'm sorry, was someone speaking?
No, go ahead. That was it. Yeah.
By location, I guess is the phrase. So I know of someone personally, many have experienced this. So they have a family member who's very ill in another city.
Mm-hmm.
And they see that, say it's a father, and they see their father sitting in the chair across from them, and they can't believe what their eyes are showing. And that is at the moment of death. They'll phone their rest of their family. When did he pass away? Well, that was the exact time that I saw him sitting here in my living room.
Right.
And you're hundreds of miles away. This is very common. This actually happens a lot.
And
So I don't
also
know
I
what you call it, but
yeah. Well, there's no space and time once you pass, right? So you can be everywhere and anywhere.
exactly.
I know somebody here in my little town here who tried to commit suicide and did die for about 4 minutes.
Okay.
And you know, it was the weirdest thing that I never even thought of asking her, oh my God, so what happened after you died? Like,
Yeah.
you know, and then just last Sunday, we were in the ocean swimming and she was telling me the whole story. And as she was telling me the story, I went, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't ask you.
Right.
And she did. She described, she saw a lot of beings. There was a
Okay.
lot of beings there. It was very beautiful. And the love and the energy was, she said, undescribable.
It is. I can
And
only
she didn't want to come back either.
right, but I guess it
Yeah.
wasn't her time.
It wasn't her time. And then when she came back into her body and then she was in the hospital and then there was the doctors and her family, she was actually really pissed off when she woke up.
I got to be in this dense body.
Yeah. And so, and then she, in that is like, you know, they come back and they have a different perspective on life. And
They
she
do.
brought back that she has the power of God within her. So it's all within.
I mean, that's got to be beautiful, an actual connection that you didn't have before,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is
She went-
beautiful. So it's all
went-
good.
She went
Right.
from suicidal thoughts to, wow, God's within.
Exactly. So I'm going to go on an odd tangent here for a minute about soul
Okay.
fragmentation that many don't know about.
Right.
And I know it personally because it happened to me.
About what? What did you say?
Soul
Soul-
fragmentation.
Fragmentation. Okay.
So it's where your soul, and I don't know which level of your soul, I'm assuming because it's a physical body, it's the lowest level of the soul, gets fragmented into pieces. And so you feel empty, you feel like I'm not whole, like a chunk of your soul, imagine, was separated from it. So your soul is only 50% of what it could be. It's called soul fragmentation. I don't think it happens very often. So I went to a very special healer who does this kind of work. And he saw, and I saw, because I was under hypnotism, I saw that that was the problem. Okay. And what in my case, anyway, in my case, I don't know others, some type of a demon took a chunk of my soul away. I know this is a strange subject to talk about. And so we had to banish this demon, which we did. And he saw my soul as a giant, imagine a diamond, cut diamond this size. That was my soul that was missing. And I drew into my heart, and my life was completely changed after that.
Wow.
I had been missing that, and my entire body and my essence felt empty, like an empty shell, my whole life. And I didn't understand why. And he discovered it, and we put it to rest. And that fragment of that soul that was missing joined, and I had a complete soul again. And then I felt so whole and complete and good. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing to have my soul back, all of it. And so this is an actual thing, soul fragmentation. Sometimes I actually got the ability recently to do it for someone. It just came through. And so she knew it. She's quite a spiritual lady. and she saw it as chunks, almost like slivers. And what we determined was it was from trauma, very, very deep trauma in some past lives, and even in this life, that the soul just pulled away into pieces. She called them slivers, much like slivers. So in the process of bringing all those slivers back, she saw little sections of her soul coming back, coming back, coming back, coming back. It was like it was put into 40, 50 pieces. And we brought them all back with the help of angels and healers, to back to where it was whole and complete inside of her. And she felt the difference. So it's much like my story. She felt totally different, totally relaxed, totally whole, because she knew something was missing. It's like your heart is not there, or your essence is not there, because all these pieces of her soul were separated because of trauma. And we brought them back together, put them together, and she's one. So this is a subject that not too many people know about or even talk about.
Yes, I have actually heard that quite a few people have had their soul fragmented, and you have to, put it back together.
And not too many people know how to do that.
Yeah, that's another gift or another modality that people need to learn how to do. Because even calling in the fragment souls yourself may not do it,
May not do it. Like in both cases, because I directly was involved in it, I had a very powerful healer assist me, and then I was able to assist a friend. The gift just came in. I was able to see it for what it was. She felt it, and we resolved it right there in 1 hour session.
Beautiful.
So when some people feel completely empty and lost, like, who am I? I feel empty inside. There's just, I don't feel whole. Many cases, they've lost a piece of their soul.
Right.
It's separated for whatever reason, right? And it's sad because we don't know about this phenomena. I've yet to hear it spoken on any video, any psychic, any medium. This is something that's rarely ever talked about. I have no idea how many people on the planet have that. Is it a couple thousand? Is it a couple 100,000? We don't have any idea how many people have this. And it's sad because it was life-changing for me. It almost reminds me of the people who had a near-death experience, right? And when they come back, they have this fulfillment, this purpose. And that's what came to me once my soul was complete. It's an amazing, it changed my life. It literally changed my life. That 1 hour session with him changed my life. And I'm very grateful for him for doing that, because I didn't know it was there. All I know, this shell was empty. There's nothing in there.
And would you think that people who are very mean, or people who, psychopaths, or people like that, probably have fragmented souls?
That could be that's a very big possibility. Yeah, this is a subject that I don't delve into often. There's very little literature on it. I mean, this is a whole nother subject. There isn't a lot of information on it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
There really isn't. I only know from actual experience that it's real. It's very real. And the lady that I worked on just recently, she feels totally different.
Well,
she had the vision of these sections of her soul that were missing were coming into her, as kind of like, she said it like slivers, just coming into her. Many of them, till the point was it was whole, it was complete, and she had a complete soul back in this form. So maybe that's another modality that needs to be looked at for people that have these issues. Like you say, psychopaths. It's like they're completely devoid of emotion toward their fellow man.
Well, how about narcissists?
Very, very similar.
Similar.
Very,
Exactly.
very similar. Yeah, that's sad. And I believe from all the experience and what I've studied, they are trauma-based.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe in that trauma, here's a thought, maybe in that deep trauma that they separate from their emotions of empathy and love
Yeah.
for others, that was the chunk of their soul leaving.
Well, that's what happens with schizophrenics. I mean, and with people with split personalities. It's all started from trauma and then they split. So that makes perfect sense.
It does. It's good that we're bringing this up because I never really talk about this to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fringe, if you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
on the soul. But again, we're not so much talking about the afterlife, but we're talking about our soul,
Mm-hmm.
all the different aspects of our soul. And it
Mhm.
really is very complex. And
Mhm.
I could agree with Daniela that there's different levels of the soul. And we'd like to believe that we're at a higher level of our soul that comes here down in this physical form, right? That we're learning in our schooling, right? Moving up and being more evolved as a soul, right? And when we study this subject, when we learn why do we come here in a human form, and it's for our soul, we learn soul lessons here. This is
Mhm.
the school of hard knocks on this
Mhm.
planet. It really is, where you learn very deep, profound lessons here in this lifetime. And that alone assists your soul in growth. It's called soul growth.
Mhm.
And so these really hard lessons that we have in this lifetime, and we've all had them, are lessons for us to have soul growth. That's what they're here for.
Yep.
It could be horrific, absolutely horrific as we think of them, but it's soul growth. So our soul can grow and expand and be more than what it is. And so many people don't know this and feel that their life is a victim. I've been punished. My father used to beat me. Whatever your
Mhm.
story is, was actually a soul growth lesson,
Mhm. Yes.
right? And so this very tough to come down here on this planet to learn these lessons, but you can learn a great lesson in only one lifetime. Many souls won't come down here because this is such a tough place to learn a lesson.
Yeah, we're people that like to punish ourselves.
What if okay, we're going to school, right? We can, like she was saying, say it's like school, grade 1, grade 2. And someone tells you, well, you can skip from grade 3 to grade 6 in one lifetime. Oh, really? I could really skip. Yeah, but you got to come to Earth. But you can skip. I'm going to use that phrase because you can learn so much in one lifetime here.
Mhm.
Your soul growth can be huge in one lifetime.
Oh yeah.
And don't miss it. Don't miss the
Yeah.
learning.
And
That's a good
yeah,
point, because many people are, and I'm not saying I haven't done that, disconnected from the soul. It's not very conscious. And probably the majority of people are not really connected. The soul's not really embodied.
Mm.
I'd
And
have
there's such a
agree.
disconnect that the soul's not even interested in being embodied.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's another subject. Continue.
Yeah. No, so if that's something you want to talk about.
Yes, because I've actually seen a couple people. What's the phrase? What would you call it? Your soul actually detaches from your body. Lucie, you must know the phrase.
Disconnect, cognitive disconnect, disassociate.
The
It's got
walkouts, walk-ins, all that stuff too.
Sorry, walk in?
Well, that's another thing, like, right, soul swap, the soul might leave for a while.
Yeah. From
But
the
when
two
we're
people.
sleeping, the soul goes to higher realms. And
True.
parts of we were talking about levels of spirit and soul and whatever, in a Jewish tradition, it says that the soul goes up to higher realm, and the spirit comes there too to prepare what will be the best circumstances to set up for the next day going forward for the
Uh-huh.
growth, for the expansion.
I would have to agree. Yeah, this business of where the soul actually leaves the body, it's detached because of trauma and pain. So the fellow I'm going to be talking about, he was in his 60s, and many of us felt that he was detached from his soul somehow. And so he has an actual memory when he was very young. He was only about 3 or 4, and he actually watched his soul leave his body, and he was much like a near-death experience, was outside of himself. And we all believed that it never came back in. It was fully detached. And what's the story behind it was he was a very sad man. It's like his life, no matter what happened in his life that was good, there was such a deep sadness, such a deep sadness. And that would go right along with, I'm empty, there's nothing here, my soul has left my body because of the trauma. I wish I could remember the phrase of what they call it. Don't quite remember, but it is the soul leaving the body. And that is probably more prevalent than we can imagine.
So is that the soul leaving the body, like without the silver thread that's
Thread.
connected to the body? You meaning that whole thread got disconnected also? Because I hear that it never gets disconnected.
I don't believe it is fully connected, but from this consciousness level, it's a separation. And so this consciousness and body feels very alone, very empty, much like when a chunk of my soul was stolen. That horrible empty feeling inside, that nothing, no matter how good your life is, your job or your family, nothing fills that emptiness. It's a horrible feeling. So I can imagine that's what they feel also, because it's separated, it's left because the pain was too great. And so I've never done one of those, but I'm sure some healers could reunite the soul to the body. It's a whole nother area that's rarely talked about. And that could, like, I'm just going to go with Tia, that could very well be what causes a psychopath or a narcissist, because they don't have that compassion or love, having the soul gone.
Right. Yeah,
You know,
that makes
that's
perfect sense. It makes perfect sense that people would be soulless. I mean, that piece of compassion is just not there.
It's just not there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And no matter
or
what you do, it has nothing to do with what's actually happened in their lives. Because parents will say, they'll have 3 normal children and then have, a mass murder or something.
And you wonder, how is that possible?
Yeah, how is it possible? That makes perfect sense. So are you going to do a reading? I don't know how long this call lasts. Is this, you're not done at 8, right?
we're done soon, but I just wanted to say a couple more things before we pick
Okay, and we'll
gonna get
move
a
on.
reading. I also want to mention too, because you have a thread connected to your body, your soul has a thread that's connected to your body. Even when you're actively using drugs or alcoholic or many things that you're looping, maybe very, very negative, the soul's not going to hang around because it is extremely bored and it's not hanging around. So it's going to, travel and stuff like that. It will come in and check on you every now and then. And if you're still, continuing on with this behavior and stuff, then it'll take off again. I mean, it'll set up situations with spirit guides and souls and stuff to nudge you into waking up to the fact that, there is another life you can pull out of this.
Right.
But they don't normally hang around.
I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah.
Well, that makes perfect sense.
Me, I understand that.
We learn by experience, don't we?
Yeah. So,
So we can
is
help
there,
others with that.
And Lucy,
Yeah.
Lucy, how do you know that?
because that's what was happening to me.
Mm,
Yes, because of my
Yeah,
past
we won't go into that.
behaviors.
Yeah, it's okay.
And then also I can witness it in others that are like, I witnessed one heroin addict and then they were soulless. And then, I mean, you can see that they still had the thread, the line connected to them. But as soon as they took a hit off the pipe, 3 black entities jumped on. And then he went down. And I was like, wow, I just can't believe I just witnessed that.
yeah,
But it's
so
very, very, very dark.
I can feel entities when people, have entities when they're drinking or, in a lot of different situations. But so when the entities are there, the soul is not,
The
the soul leaves. The
the
soul
soul
leaves.
can like exit and go, let me know when you're done. Because especially
Wow.
when it's going on for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that happens to the person that is an occasional drinker,
No.
No.
right? Just has the odd beer now and then.
Yeah, you have to have this repetitive behavior going on to the point where
Yeah.
the soul is completely bored out of its mind.
And it's
is not-
also a very destructive
yeah.
addiction. That's very harmful, right?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Okay, are there any more questions or comments?
Any more? Yeah. Any more before we move on to the last piece?
Yeah,
Hmm.
one more,
The
one
bonus
question.
prize.
So how long those people would survive? That's true.
Wow,
Addicts?
years.
No, they can go for years. You can be soulless for a long time because it's not like you're disconnected. You do have that thin line, and the soul does come back every now and then to check on you
Oh,
and just see what's going on.
And then Franco talked about like about 60% of people not even having an individual soul. They had like one soul connecting them all.
Those are 2Ders. So
Hmm.
people in 2D, they were sharing a soul. So one soul could be managing about 400 bodies, humans.
Wow.
Okay, second
And people
dimension.
in 2D are like extras in the movie, or they don't
Yeah.
believe in anything past themselves. They go to work, they come
Yeah.
home, they die. That's all there is to life. These are 2Ders.
Yeah.
They're
Right,
not
very
bad people. They
materialistic.
could be homeless. They could be, and once you get learning about all this, you can actually spot a 2D'er, no problem. It's kind of
Imagine.
like a filler for a part of the movie. When you're having
Yeah.
interactions with people, that's when you know there's actually a soul in the body.
You can feel empathy, you can feel love, all of that stuff. Exactly.
Like you can go to a theater and watch a movie, and there could be a bunch of 2D'ers in the movie just filling up your movie of you going to see a movie.
Yeah.
There's your sense of humor, Lucy.
Well, when we got onto it, I was like, wow, like how many,
People we
extras in
meet.
my movie are here, right? And then I went to a movie one time, and the place was packed, and I'm like, wow, I wonder how many extras are in my movie of me going to see the movie.
Interesting concept.
Yeah, so you just learn, just get onto
It
it,
is.
right? Okay, so let's move on since there's no other questions. So how do you want to do this, Danny?
Okay, so I'm going to do two things tonight. I'm going to do a very short little reading for someone. And then on another person, I'm going to tap into your past lives and tell you about one or two of your past lives.
Are you going to do it in a form of a spiritualist channeler, like being up at the podium, and can I call on you, or are you going to pick somebody?
No, I'm going to ask for volunteer.
Okay.
And
So anybody who wants, just,
we're going to do the reading first. Okay, so we have to have a caveat here. It'll have to be general because in a reading, it can go very deep and can go very personal. And you may not want this out there.
Yeah.
right? When I used to do this in the spiritual center, it's like 60, 90 seconds. It's very general, doesn't go too deep. It wouldn't be anything that you would be afraid to share with others, kind of thing. So I just want to put that out there first, okay? It's be a very general reading. So who would like a reading?
You have to raise your hand. Do you know how to raise your hand on the reaction, or Roxana, you want one? You're like chomping at the bit. All right, Roxana's up.
Okay, Roxana, as I tap into your energy, I'm going to be speaking to your spirit guides and your angels, your higher self, for any information about you. I'm getting that, well, because of the culture that you live in or you grew up in, you have your own set of beliefs and way of living, and it's all been good for you because your soul chose this as a lesson in this lifetime. Okay, so we all pick our different lifestyles, different countries, different races. We may be black, we may be white, we may be Chinese. So what they're telling me about you, it was your time to experience that in this lifetime. And they're talking about your family. I feel that you're very close to your family. Would this be correct? You're very family oriented.
From my side, but not from the other side, not that much.
Okay, but your own personal family, you're very family oriented, is what they're trying to tell me.
We are, because we are from India, so basically our culture does keep us in touch. But my own daughter, she's quite distant with me.
Oh, no, that's too bad. Okay, but that can always change. Okay, so I want to
I'm
tap
hoping
into,
always.
what can we talk about? Well, they're showing me a path that you're on. The path that you're on is because you're, how would I say this? Okay, come on. Okay, they're pleased on the choices that you've made in your life, because you've gone down this path of spirituality. You've gone down with a very open mind that you want to learn and you want to grow. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't know if you heard everything I said.
Yes, just the last bit. Yeah, because I'm getting my
Okay.
right.
And so, I mean, we all come here to learn and grow, and you have followed your path. You've gone what the natives call the red road. So you've gone down that path of spirituality, of learning, of expanding your consciousness and your beliefs and your all of this is coming through very strongly. You have many spirit guides around you, giving you that guidance all the time. I see 3 in particular that are here to help you on this path, on this enlightened path, we'll call it at this time. So you're very guided. You're very assisted on your journey, on your path here, because I can see them and they're talking to me at this time. They're very pleased that the big thing is you listen to them. Because many spirit guides can give nudges and little bits of information to people, and they just don't listen. You listen. So they're very happy that they can have an actual interaction with you because you will listen to that, those thoughts and those feelings and whatever they're implanting in you to assist you on your journey. They said, okay, they're just saying right now, we like working with you.
Okay.
Is what they're saying, because you listen and you follow. Okay, they're using the word pleased. They're very pleased to be your spirit guides. Okay.
Can I ask who they are?
They're all ancestors. I see an uncle, I see a grandfather, and two grandfathers and an uncle. And so our ancestors are most of our spirit guides, right? Family members. We might not even know them. They might have died a year after we were born, or even died before we were born. Yet they still become a guide to us, to assist us, because they can see much more on the other side, all the dynamics of your life and where you're going. And they can inspire us on our life, on our job and our career, or who we're going to marry, everything, where we're going to live. Anyway, they enjoy working with you. So call on them and when you want advice, right? And that's what they're there for. Same with our angels. They're there to assist us in any way we can. Don't be afraid to ask and talk to them. Okay? Because they
Can I
give us
also add?
guidance. Sorry?
Yeah.
Can I also add
Lucie
something?
wants to.
Right away, as soon as Danny started, a sister came in.
Yes.
A sister?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
A
my sister
sister.
passed away here.
Yeah, a sister came in.
Yeah.
Can you say anything to that, Danny?
I can. I feel that she's a younger sister. Is that correct?
No, she was my older sister.
Your oldest
My
sister.
younger sister is still alive here.
Okay.
She was almost going from cancer, but she came back.
Your younger
I'm
sister?
glad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
My younger
Okay,
sister
so-
had the COVID vaccine and got leukemia.
Wow. Your sister that's passed is not one of your guides, but she does come to visit now and then. Our ancestors do that. The ones we love will come and visit, see how you're doing. I did a reading on a woman and I said, your aunt touches you on your shoulder. And she says, so that's what it is. She would feel pressure on her shoulder from time to time. And I said, that's your grandmother coming to say hi.
Mm.
Your sister comes to say hi. Okay. So do you have anything else to add to that, Lucie?
There's also a little boy coming in. Are you
Okay.
connected to a little boy somehow, Roxana?
That was passed.
He may be
Mm.
alive.
Not necessarily. Do you have a nephew or a little boy
Good
that you
friend.
know
My
of?
grandson was there. My
Your
grandson.
There's a grandson,
three. He's,
comes in
he's
a
only
lot.
3. No. Someone once told me in my Power of 8 meeting that my granddaughter, even before she was born, she wants to talk to me. I don't know how far.
Even
it's
before
right.
she's
Right.
born.
Oh, for sure, that happens.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Now she's
So
8
you have
months.
a strong little boy spirit connected to you also.
I keep asking her what she wants to say to me. I don't
Mm.
get anything yet.
It will be
Cool.
revealed. He's highly advanced. Your grandson.
Sorry?
He's highly advanced. He's a starseed.
Your grandson.
I'm not sure because he's 3 and I don't have that much connection. I only see him as I call him my handsome little boy.
He is. He's a starseed. He comes in with great wisdom. He's an old soul.
I feel like that. Yeah.
He's an old soul.
Yeah. Really
Before he was
connected.
born, I felt like he would be the one to help my daughter, reach a better understanding.
Exactly.
Nice.
He's here to help. Okay. So we're going to end this unless you have another question.
Thank
Nope.
you. That was beautiful.
Okay. You're welcome.
Thank you. I hope that ambulance is not for you.
For nobody. They're on their
Thanks,
way for
Roxana.
Sorry,
Anna?
what was that?
I hope that ambulance was not for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And fire truck.
No.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Okay,
Beautiful.
so I'd like someone that wants a past life.
Is there
Who else
anybody
is
that's
here?
wanting a
Is
past life?
Goran, is Gord still here?
Goran, yeah, he's there.
Who's the other one here? LSG7?
There's Anne, there's LGG71, Veronica, Lisa, Linda, Louise, Tia, Daniela.
Which one of you would like a little bit of a past life session?
LGG7 is raising her hand, his hand,
she?
not sure what the gender is.
Do you know this
And,
person?
and I don't,
Okay.
and Louise is also, and I think Lisa, oh, Lisa raised her hand. Okay. So let's go LGG7. Do you, and you can you
Can you
connect
hear
with
us?
this person?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Awesome.
Are you open to knowing a little bit about your past lives?
You know me. Yes, sure.
Okay. Awesome. One of your past lives, it was a very enjoyable past life, was in China. So you were Chinese. Okay. This is several hundred years ago. I'm being shown it. In that lifetime, it was one of those lifetimes where it's absolutely beautiful. There is no trauma. There is no strife. Yes, you know, we have to work for a living and our food and grow. But it was one of those lifetimes where we almost like rest, almost like a vacation. So I'm being shown that you were a woman. You had a father. You had 3 kids. Okay. You had a small parcel of land that you shared with his parents, where you grew your food, had a couple animals. And it was one of those lifetimes where everything is just pleasant. There was no strife. There was no war. That's coming through. It was a very enjoyable lifetime for you at that time. So not really much lessons that were learned in that one, because sometimes we come down to have a lifetime where it's just very pleasant, where things roll and it's very nice, and there's no strife, there's no real huge lesson to learn, but it's all about the experience. Okay, the experience of having a pleasant life, pleasant family, and everything going quite smoothly in that lifetime. Okay, so I got another one here in lower part of Africa. You were a black man in a tribe, and this is way back. This is 1200, 1300 years ago. You would be considered a hunter. I see you with a spear. I see you with the other men hunting animals for food. I see you working on the buildings, you know, doing chores for the village, because you were part of a village. Okay, I'm going to tap into that again. You came from a big family. You had 3 brothers and 1 sister in that lifetime. It was a relatively good life. There was no real strife. There was a skirmish with another tribe, but it wasn't that serious. Life as a tribesman is difficult, as you know. They have to fend for everything that they eat and drink, and they have to live amongst wild animals, right? So it can be a difficult life to be a tribesman, but you did it, and it's one of your experiences that you wanted to have in that lifetime.
Interesting.
I don't know if you have any affliction to that. So when we have a desire to go somewhere to do something, it's because we had a past life there. Okay.
Really?
So, do you have a desire to go to any country in the world that you say, I feel I need to go there? Do you have one?
No. No.
Not at this time.
Not at all.
Okay. So because it will be a draw to you to go back to where you used to live. So as we travel, we can go to places and have deja vu, right?
True.
And say, I know this place. It looks so familiar to me. It's because we had a past life there. Okay.
That makes sense.
I don't know. Have you ever had that experience?
Yes, many times.
Okay, and where was that?
Just locally, I could go from one city to another and know I've been there before.
Well, that tells us that you had a past life there.
Mm.
And you have memories. When we see it, as we're very visual beings, when we see that area, it just brings back memories, and we don't understand, why does this place look so familiar?
That's
Right?
why.
It's
Okay.
it's proof that you've had a past life there. Okay. And as you
Okay,
know,
well,
we've
thank
had
you.
many, many past lives, hundreds and hundreds, and many thousands for some of us. So we've had many great experiences all over the world. So we've been an Eskimo, we've been an African, we've been a Chinese, we've been everything, because our soul wants to experience all those different cultures, all those different ways of life. So if I went really deep, I could find you have lives in Europe, in Iceland, in Australia. Oh, I just saw one in Australia. You were a bushman. The native community, the natives of Australia are called Bushmen. Yeah, I just got confirmation that you were a bushman in one lifetime.
Interesting.
So this is what we can do in a past life regression. Well, I don't call it regressions. It's just something that I got the gift for a few years ago. But I use this ability to help people with their past life issues. So each one of us has had some past lives that were horrendous, traumatic. And if it's real traumatic, that issue, that trauma of that past life will carry into this lifetime. So this is what I do in my sessions. So a particular person will come to me. I have this issue from my childhood, and I'll tap into their past lives, and I'll see, oh, this is not the first time you've had this exact same issue. You've had it in 28 different past lifetimes, and it'll recur, because past life issues will recur until you heal from it. Okay. So what I'll do, I'm sorry?
So it can happen many times.
Oh, it does. I've had many clients 400 and 500 lifetimes, the exact same issue. Okay, so someone has harmed them. Okay, it could be rape. It could be my dad was a drunk and used to beat me. It could be abandonment. A lot of these deep trauma issues that you don't learn the lesson from it, and your soul says, well, I want to learn that lesson. We're going to do it all over. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And so you don't learn the lesson. I'm sorry?
So, I think that's crazy that you keep repeating the same lesson.
Okay, the soul comes here to have experiences and learn lessons. Mm-hmm. And as we learn those lessons, we get soul growth from it. Okay. So that lesson, say, of abandonment, you didn't learn the lesson because you were angry at your father or your mother who abandoned you. You were hurt and you were suffering, and you took it to your grave because you refused to forgive them. So in the sessions that I go into, I explain the whole situation to those past lives. They understand the dynamics. They understand that it was a soul lesson to learn. And it's time to have compassion for their aggressors and forgive. Once they forgive, they've healed that lesson. And so once those past lives are healed, we heal the present lifetime. And that means no more future lifetimes will have that problem anymore.
Okay, question. If you can acknowledge that there was trauma in your lifetime, if you forgive, then that will end it forever?
Yes, along with the energies that we're bringing in. Yes. So this trauma, I'll explain it quickly, is this trauma is attached to you on an energetic and etheric level, and sometimes spiritual level. Okay. And it takes a healer to break that. Someone who has the abilities to go in there and cut all those cords. and sever them.
Okay.
As the person forgives, learns to forgive and have compassion for the person that has harmed them, that's where the healing is. I only assist by bringing in I bring in the Reiki masters, I bring in a lot of different healing energies to assist the person in letting it go, and they do. In 1 hour, you can resolve that issue. One session.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank
Just
you.
to explain about
Appreciate
past lives. And I mean, we've explained this a bit on we did a video on past lives.
Okay.
But anyway, now you know 3 of your past lives.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're very
So
welcome.
LG,
Thanks for coming.
LG, do you have kids?
Yes, I do.
Okay, because I'm seeing a girl around 11, 12 years old and a boy around 7.
No.
No kids. Not
No,
those
wrong kids.
Okay, you got kids around you at that age.
No, I
there's,
don't.
well, they could be energetically. So you have like an 11, 12-year-old girl and a 7, 8, 9-year-old boy. They're coming
Really?
in, and they're coming in together.
Really?
So they could be people from the other side, or they could be people on this planet that are assisting you.
Can I add to that?
Oh,
I feel
please.
they're your soul family.
Hmm.
Oh,
We travel
okay.
with the same souls in every lifetime.
True.
It's interesting how the kids are coming in.
It is.
I'm not usually getting kids, but I get kids tonight.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So awesome.
Are they mischievous and do things about my house?
Yeah.
I think they're here to assist. Their energy is very
Okay.
high. Yeah, they're here to assist.
Good. Thank
So it's
you.
all good.
Probably helping you fold the clothes and put them away, not create a whole mess.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll open up to the floor if there's any questions about what just happened. Any comments?
Anybody want to add anything? Is everybody good?
Mhm. We're going to be doing this every week now. Everyone can get a reading or past life review. Not review, but look into your past lives.
Okay,
Are you okay?
can you hear me? Can you hear me, Lucilla?
Yes.
Okay. This is very interesting, and I had an inkling of what you're talking about. As far as past lives go, I find Danny to be an incredible guy. And I just want to let you know, Lucilla, that you have mentioned to me, and this hasn't been recent, since I came here to Hako, I have not sang. Because I was born with a gift to sing, but I have repressed it. And I don't know why I'm repressing it. It's just because I don't want to be around people that drink and smoke marijuana. Just want to say though that some of the things that you guys talked about, like spirits at the end of the bed when you're ready to go, that's like the Twilight Zone to me. I'm telling you
Is it?
straight up. Yeah, that's
Okay.
like something you'd see in the Twilight Zone. Okay.
Well, that's the woo-woo.
I mean, but the thing about it is, I have a deep-seated love for music. And, I listen to all kinds, and I'm a great imitator. I think if Danny, I'll let you, I know we don't have time now, but I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and there were a lot of doo-wop singers at that time. And I didn't have a father, so I'd sing in the bathroom because the acoustics were really good. And I would like match every note. And to this day, I can do that. But, I'm feeling, I don't know if we can continue this because I don't want to take up your time if there's an allotted time. But do you mind if I just say a few things? Is that okay?
Sure, go for it.
Okay.
You're okay with that,
All right.
Lucy?
Yeah, we just have a few more minutes because I was.
You know,
Okay.
Linda,
Yeah.
are you living in the
Yes.
States?
No,
I live in
she's
Hako where Lucille lives. Yeah,
she's here.
Oh, okay.
I live where Lucille lives.
Lucy, give her my number or a way of contacting me and we
Yeah,
can talk about this.
I think that would be better because the longer the video is, the harder it is to upload it.
Oh, sure, no
Yeah.
problem. Yeah. I
Just one
totally
thing, Linda.
appreciate it.
I
Yeah,
just got a
totally
vision of you in the 1920s as a singer in a hall. You were a
Yeah,
woman.
uh-huh.
Those were the rah-rah days, that kind of music,
Yeah, like
big band.
yeah,
And you
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
loved your music. You just
Yeah,
loved
oh,
to sing and
oh
entertain.
God. You are so smart because let me just say one thing. My daughter lived in LA and I went to the hotel, the Berkshire Hotel or something, and there were pictures of these women in black outfits and they were like roaring 20s or something during that era. And I looked just like those women. There was, my face looked exactly like those women. So I said, okay, well, you had a past life as a singer in the roaring 20s. So what you
Wow.
just said, yeah. So now, okay, I'm repressing my talent and it's making me sad and I'm doing it. We'll talk when, you know, we
Yeah,
get the phone, you know,
yeah, give me a
you're a great
shout.
guy to know. You're a great guy to know
Yeah,
because
well,
you could
I'm
lift
here.
me out of a space that I'm having a real hard time with. I think Lucille knows what it is. And, you know, it's so nice to have a spirit guide like you are because, you know, I'm disconnected from my family, even though my family
Oh,
lives in Costa Rica too. So, you know, I don't want to waste the time here as I always feel like I'm imposing on people if, you know, I'm taking their time. So what I
yeah,
want to say,
well, give me a
go ahead.
call or send me a message on my
Okay,
email.
Lucille was so nice. Yeah, she was such a good friend that she can do that, you know. And she's way above, you know, she lives in her spirit is way above. It's like I've never met anyone quite like her in my life. I didn't know people like her existed.
Wow.
Yeah, oh no, 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 no. I mean, I would just, you know, just like I think about her and I go, is it real or is it fake? You know, but
Oh,
I
it's
don't
real.
think she'd be making this stuff up, you know. So, but you know,
We're
it's so
experiencing
cool.
it.
Yeah, it's so cool. I mean,
Well,
there's just one last thing. The idea that we came here to experience is really real. And I want to experience good things. I don't want to be, you know, like in this vacuum of depression and not singing. So I'm trying
right.
to figure that out. So we'll talk
Well, we
about
could
that.
get
All
to the
right.
bottom of that. So it would be best if we could talk through Facebook Messenger
Yeah.
or
Okay.
WhatsApp.
I
So
appreciate it. You're a great guy, babe. A really nice human being.
um,
So connected to people's spirits. And that's really amazing. So thank you so much. You're a real nice guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
so let's have a nice chat and
I
we can
said
go
that.
down the
Yeah.
rabbit hole
All
and
right.
see what we can discover.
All right. That
Perfect.
sounds like a winner. Thank you so much, Lucilla, for connecting me. Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome.
That's
You're
good.
welcome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
join us every week.
So we'll
Yeah, I
connect with
will.
guys.
I will.
Okay,
So,
we're done.
yeah, we're at that time now. And so yeah, anytime you want to connect, I'm going to leave his email and both our emails in the description and with a donation button. Please hit the subscribe button and give us a like, thumbs up.
Yeah,
I
because
would
we're here to
really
help all
appreciate
of you.
Yeah. We're going to do
Right.
this next week. We don't have a topic right now, but we will, Danny and I are going to put our heads together. And if there's any suggestions, just email us, let us know.
Yeah,
And really
definitely. Let us
appreciate you
know.
guys being here. And
Yeah.
Danny, how would you like to close it out?
Well, I was hoping you would.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Let's all
Good.
sync our energies and we're going to close this out with
Yeah.
a little community intention. So we bring in all our archangels, our spirit guides and souls, over souls, higher souls, soul families, and all our higher selves. And we want to thank everything and everyone that has been here on this call tonight and everything that's been shared, and also Danny sharing his gifts with us, and also everyone that's been co-creating. We sync all this energy into our own vortex, our own 5D towers, fifth dimension tower. And also we put out into the world great energies and ask that our spirit guides connect with all other spirit guides and souls that are ready to hear this information, that would like some clearing and shifting. We're here for you. And we are going to continue on and develop and grow, and appreciate everything. And also all the intentions that you have for your future, your higher self, who you want to create for yourself, what results you're looking for in your life. We wish that we align our intentions with you on that. And we have it as it is a done deal. And that is it for tonight.
And so it is.
So it is.
So we're creating a community.
Yes. So thank you so much. Thank you, Danny, for being here and being my partner in crime,
Yep. It was
and
very
everyone else.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, guys.
Good
You're
night.
welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.